During the town hall, one
Anna
of
called it a
the
debate.
audience members asked a question about medical marijuana and what Hillary Clinton plans to do to at least decriminalize marijuana so those who need it for medicinal purposes can get their hands on it without worrying about legal issues. Well, here's Hillary Clinton's answer on that.
So we've got to work on law enforcement. We have to work on doctors to understand better when they prescribe opioids, which is often the first step toward heroin. We have to have every police department equipped with an naloxone, which is the antidote to reverse overdose, save lives here in New Hampshire. We got to put more money into this. So all of this to me fits together. You deserve answers about marijuana, and we deserve more treatment for people who are addicted to drugs and alcohol for other kinds of challenges.
She talked a lot about research. We need more research. We need more research into marijuana. And then she said something that hit a nerve with me because I hate this argument. We need to allow the states to pass the laws that they believe is right for their state in order to allow the research to happen. No, that's not how the research happens. The research happens by removing marijuana as a Schedule I drug. And I know that she has advocated for that. She thinks that it should be a Schedule II drug. But I also don't think it's a state's issue. I think it's a federal issue. When you have the federal government doing these raids on states that have legalized marijuana for either medicinal use or recreational use, then we have a problem there. There's an inconsistency between the states and the federal government. Just legalize it federally. Okay, take the power away from the cartels. Allow people who want to smoke it for medicinal purposes to do that. Allow people like me who want to smoke it for fun to do it without worrying about the ramifications. It's marijuana. We do need more studies. That's absolutely right. But the fact that politicians haven't fought to remove it as a Schedule I substance is precisely the reason why we haven't had enough studies.
So that would indicate, though, as you said, and she's advocated for moving it to Schedule II, and she wants the research. That's a significant step from a federal point of view. That would be a big change. Barack Obama hasn't done that.
Right.
And also, when she says she wants it to be a state issue, that is an indication, although Obama gave us a similar indication and then didn't follow through on that, that means there wouldn't be any raids. If she's saying that Wyoming gets to legalize it, then she's saying you guys have it legal and we're not having federal raids of clinics or dispensaries in Wyoming.
Yeah. And I would probably put someone as the new head of the DEA who, when asked which is more dangerous for you, weed or heroin, will give a fucking honest answer.
Right.
Instead of saying, well, I mean, who can really say?
Right, that's
They're
a
all
lie I
drugs.
disapprove of.
That actually happened, which is insane.
I just can't handle the fact that in some states, if you get caught with possession, you have to deal with a hefty prison sentence as a result of that, right?
Yeah.
But in other states, like, Oregon or Washington State, you can smoke as much recreational weed as you want and you're not considered a criminal. We need to have some consistency when it comes to something like that. And also, all right, legalizing it is one thing, but what are we going to do about the people who are currently serving time behind bars for a drug that our current president also admitted to using? Are we going to do anything about that? Like, we talk about the justice system, and those people are the ones that get forgotten. Right now we have more than 3,000 people serving life sentences without the chance of parole for nonviolent crimes. The majority of those people got caught with drug possession, right? But other people, got caught doing something else that's nonviolent. Why do we have nonviolent people serving life sentences without parole?
She spoke out about that tonight. She's on the right. They're on the same side of that. They both. Here's, by the way, I know I was wrong about, as I said, I knew I was wrong about Bernie and the Defense of Marriage Act. Bernie did vote to toughen jail sentences. He got tough on crime with everybody else in the 1990s. Every Democrat did. Because, again, that goes back. I read this piece in The Week today, so if you've read that piece in The Week, you're going to think I'm parroting it, because I am. But
don't worry.
A different time than the 1990s, a different political climate. It's different now. Like, I don't think we're going back there. The Clintons were, and Hillary wasn't in a voting position then. And Bill Clinton says he regrets it, that he was wrong about that. Obama has started to undo some of that, not releasing nearly enough people, but God bless him, he's releasing some.
He released more, it's a historic amount.
Right, so we're releasing some. So that has changed completely. That, to me, is almost identical to gay marriage. Like, yeah, they were on the wrong side of this issue in the 90s. So were most people.
I think what we should expect, like saying what she should do and then should it be a state's issue, I think that one, obviously it should not be a Schedule I drug. You want to free it up for federal research. I would also say that as president, I would encourage as many states as possible to legalize it. In terms of what you can actually do in terms of making individual states force it to be legal, to the extent that I think states should have any authority, like to have independent laws independent of the federal government, I think that, yeah, they can legalize drugs or not, or alcohol or not. I think that some states are allowed to suck and have their population want to move to other states. I think it shouldn't be federally illegal. I think that the federal government definitely shouldn't be cracking down on states that do legalize it. But I think that if a state wants any substance to be illegal, even if it's stupid to have it be illegal, I think that that is, under our current constitution, acceptable.
But she's never going to make a sweeping statement like that, and she's in
which statement?
Well, in terms of the
States
federal
should legalize it.
No, in terms of the federal, in terms of what Anna's proposing, because Sanders is more outspoken on this and is more of the view that you're advocating. She, as we've been discussing all night, she is very much more of an incremental type of politician, and what she proposes is small baby steps towards something that is arguably more compromise-based, more in the real world, more realpolitik. And that is why she doesn't inspire people, because that's not what inspires people.
We just had 8 years of that. And you know,
and
Obama
she's been
wasn't
very
a
upfront
terrible...
about it's going to be a continuation. Her presidency would be a continuation of that.
And I have no interest in that. Like,
and on weed, he's better than previous presidents.
Except he conducted a bunch of raids in states like California after he said that he wouldn't conduct those raids.
I don't think we've had incremental change. I think, especially in the last 3 years, I think we've partly, it's not just Bernie Sanders that has caused the headline on CNN to be, who's the better progressive? I mean, first of all, the answer is Bernie Sanders. I got news for you, CNN. That's pretty clear. That's an amazing headline out of a Democrat. I mean, John Kerry versus, John Edwards in 2004 and Howard Dean. Howard Dean was a progressive. Howard Dean is like the least progressive of those guys now, although
I know.
No one really knows what John Edwards is up to. But Al Gore in 2000 was not running in any way, shape, or form as a genuine progressive. We all believe him to be one now, and maybe he was in truth then. But Barack Obama has some progressive accomplishments to chalk up. I think if he'd behaved very differently in his first 5 years, he'd have a lot more.
Yeah.
He might have had a lot more.
I guess whatever change he did achieve has been overshadowed by things like Dodd-Frank, or the fact that he was supposedly in favor of a public option. We didn't get that. How he did not support gay rights or gay marriage, I should say, until Biden kind of outed him, and then he felt forced to say that he's in favor of gay marriage. Like, I want a leader, right? I don't want someone to lead from behind. I don't want anyone to use the phrase lead from behind ever again, because it makes me uncomfortable. But I see Bernie as a fighter, and I do see Hillary as someone who would just continue Obama's policies. It's not good enough for me. And when it comes to the two most important issues, which is regulating our financial sector and doing something differently in foreign policy, I don't see Hillary as someone who's going to change the status quo. I see her as someone who's probably going to continue to expand on Bush's policy, which Obama expanded on. So I don't know. Maybe I'm being way too biased.
No, I think you're right. I think compared to those two issues are ones where there's probably a stark contrast. Except on foreign policy, I think that the import of having smart, big thinkers there is critical, and I think she's a smart, big thinker. I don't
think she's proposed anything big.
Yeah,
so
but
far.
she's a complicated thinker. She has suggested that as Secretary of State. She has respect around the world. Everyone was impressed with her.
She had a few calamities, Ben, as well as Secretary of State. Let's be honest.
What was the calamity?
Well, some poor judgments, shall we say?
Yeah, well, I mean, in the middle of what was going on, yes, I'm sure she did. I don't
pushing for fracking all over the world. I'm sure that was the official position of the
I don't doubt
Department.
I don't doubt her intellectual capacity in any way, shape, or form. Nor do I doubt Bernie. So with both of them, when it comes to foreign policy, the same with Obama, and it hasn't led to. But again, I don't know. Given the circumstances that you got on January 20th, 2009, there is a president who would be like, boy, the last 8 years we have made great headway for him, but we nailed it. Right now, I would give him a bad grade. But I don't think getting an A was possible. Like best we could have done is maybe a B-, given the circumstances that he inherited. So on that, I think she'd probably end up being pretty good. But that's all. I'm using the same standard that I used for foreign policy from the first election I paid attention to in 1984. Can we just have the smart guys in the room? The smart guys surround themselves with the smart guys. There's not one Republican out there. Every
Trump
single
said he's going to have smart guys.
every single
He's going to find them, smart guys.
Carl
The
Icahn,
best.
who'll go over to Syria and tell me what to do.
The best. I'll
best.
figure it out when it's at the right time. I'll tell you what the difference between Hezbollah and whatever Hamas is.
Wouldn't it be great if Donald Trump was like, turns out all the smart guys, they're Democrats.
That'd be hilarious.